Hello again, everybody, and happy Christmas to everybody. I'm going to make a video today which isn't really aimed at my existing viewers. It's just made in the hope that somebody might come across it on YouTube if they're asking these type of questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Lasius niger for Christmas, because every year I see people who get or want to start ant keeping who get ants for Christmas. And very often, because the person who's buying the present looks up online at what's a cheap, easy to keep starter species, they come across Lasius niger. And this is a very common species that people get gifted for Christmas. And it comes with a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And I'm just going to go through a few of those today and explain what to look out for if you're either buying for somebody or you're requesting this as a present for Christmas. So my first topic is, where has she been? And this is queen ants, Queen Lasius niger. I see people who get just a queen or a queen and a small amount of brood. And then my question immediately is where has she been? Lasius niger have their nuptial flights between late June and early August, so mostly in July. And I caught a colony on the I caught a queen on the 13th of August this year. And even she has got 9 workers now. So when I see queens advertised for sale with either just a queen or with just brood, I wonder, what has she been doing? When was she caught? Did they put her in the fridge? Is she infertile? It just doesn't make sense. So if you are buying a Lasius niger colony at this time of year, I would say that they need a minimum of 8 to 10 workers. Otherwise, something's not gone right with their development. And then the second thing is hibernation. I've done videos on this, and obviously if you enjoy this video, I would encourage you to look back through a lot of my previous videos where I cover all of the basics of Lasius niger care. But right now, at this time of year at Christmas, your Lasius niger colony should be in the fridge. And it's very sad that every year I see customers that buy a colony, try to start it going. I know you're excited, it's Christmas, you've just got a new present, you've got a new ant colony, you want to get them set up, you want to see them. But the reality is that they will probably do very little other than just sit there doing nothing, because they want to be in hibernation. So in reality, if you do buy a Lasius niger colony at Christmas, the best thing to do is to put it straight into the fridge until March. And I know that spoils your Christmas present, but it's the best thing for the colony. I do see reputable ant sellers will offer a thing called hibernation service, where you can buy a colony, but they will not deliver it to you until March. They will send you some pictures to show you what your colony's like, and you have a colony, it's yours, but they're going to keep it in their fridge, saving you that hassle until March. And while we're on this subject, catching your own Lasius niger queens is incredibly easy in the UK. In July, there will be hundreds, thousands of them around. You won't be able to miss them. And it's such a joy. It's a joy to start your colony from absolute scratch, from catching your own queen, from seeing that first worker, from seeing those first eggs, from seeing them when they first go out into the outworld. It's all part of the ant keeping experience. And I know this means you've got to wait till July, but ant keeping is all about patience. I mean, if you catch a queen in July, you're not going to even have a sort of active working colony until July the year after. It's going to take a year to get your colony up and running. That's the sort of patience we're talking about in ant keeping anyway. Why not just get equipment for Christmas and just wait until July? It's so much fun watching the wild nests, trying to work out when they're going to fly, keeping your eye on the weather, looking for queens. And it's not difficult. It's really not. Again, I've showed videos of me running around on the footpaths of London, the biggest city in this country, and I'm still finding hundreds of queens. And then the next thing is the legacy of Uncle Milton. Now, Uncle Milton was a company that designed ant nests, I think, as far back as the 1950s. They were these two sheets of glass with sand in between that you would put the ants in. And a lot of non-ant keepers still assume that this is the way to keep ants. And so a lot of people for Christmas get these type of products as their Christmas present. They're really not very good. Again, I did a video on formicariums. I did a video on the sorts of things that you should be looking out for. But you really, really don't want to start with something like this. You are better off keeping your ants in no substrate, especially if it's your first time. You can see what's going on in the nest. You can see what state your colony's in. And you better understand where your ants are at. In fact, I saw a video from a very experienced ant keeper who's now got a very big YouTube with lots more followers than me. And they were talking about their very first colony, which was Lasius niger, and they kept them in a natural setup. And they didn't think they were doing very much. And in the end, they released them, they let them go. And when they let them go, they realised just how many there were under the ground because they were keeping them in a natural setup. And then they actually regretted letting them go. Now, this is because they couldn't observe the ants. Now, as an experienced ant keeper, they would know better. They would know that there's stuff going on underground that they couldn't see. But when it's your first time, it's best to keep them with minimal substrate so that you can observe everything that's happening. Which brings me on to my next point, which is all-in-one formicariums. Again, I think that some ant selling companies offer packages where you can get these sort of all-in-one formicariums, Outworld and Formicarium all together. Often they're too big for the starting colony that you're buying at Christmas. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You should keep your colony in a test tube for as long as you can. And for those of you who have been with me since the start of my channel and caught your queens last July, then yes, you're going to be looking to move your ants into some sort of nest, probably in March or April when they come out of hibernation. But as I've said before, something 6 by 7 centimeters is going to do your ants absolutely fine for all of next season, right up to next hibernation. And it's so much easier to put a small ant nest into a fridge like this than it is to put a whole setup with an outworld attached. It's taking up far more space. So I am a firm believer in having separate outworlds from nests so that you can disconnect them when you need to. So yeah, I don't like all-in-ones for that reason. And again, like I said, they're often far too big for what you need. And people try to put new colonies into setups that are too big for them, and then they don't do very well. So what should you or could you buy for Christmas if you're starting to think, now really isn't the time to buying a Lasius niger colony? Well, one of the things that I would say, one of the key things in my ant keeping journey that I would recommend is a big outworld. I've got this one. It's 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. It's got 4 entry holes, all of which can be open and closed at will by turning a wheel on the bottom. Air holes at the top, an overlapping lip around the edge so that you can put fluon not only on the walls, on the vertical walls, but also on that overhanging lip. And if they struggle to get up vertical walls with fluon on it, they really struggle to walk upside down on fluon. It's almost escape proof if you've got an upside down barrier of fluon. So I do recommend overhanging lips. But I put my colony into this outworld when they were 15 workers. I connected their test tube up to it, and they were coming out into this outworld at 15 workers. I used it all of last season when they went up to 600-700 workers. I'm going to use it all of next season. It is the centerpiece of my setup, and it's just going to be used constantly for any colonies. You know, it's always going to have a use. It's absolutely brilliant, so versatile, such a good thing to have. Most ant suppliers sell outworlds, and most sell a big outworld, and they're not cheap. This one I think was 40 odd pounds. So the biggest ones are quite expensive, and if you're looking to get something for Christmas, I would say get a big outworld. Nests. Yes, by all means get nests for Christmas, but don't go over the top. Don't go for these massive nests or these massive all-in-ones. As I've said in my video on formicariums, if you want to look back through my videos, all you will need for up to like maybe even 1,000 workers is something like this, 6 by 7, 7 by 7, relatively small. And then next autumn, when it comes to hibernation, you can disconnect this from your outworld. And as I keep saying, it's so much easier to put some little thing like this in your fridge, especially if you're not the fridge owner. You know, if you've got parents or a partner who's like, oh, I'm not sure I want ants in my fridge. You show them a small cardboard box that you've popped something like this into, and they're like, oh, well, it's only a little cardboard box. That's not a problem. That's fine. And then finally, test tubes. There's no such thing as too many test tubes if you're an ant keeper. They're used for founding queen colonies, for putting water in the outworld. If you wanted to give them a water source, you can use them in emergencies, in tubs and tube setups. They are just brilliant and so useful in so many ways. So again, if you're looking for a present, get them some test tubes, decent sized test tubes, glass, so that they have better viewing quality. And that's a good Christmas present. So yeah, this is just, every year I see little disasters happening when people get Lasius niger colonies for Christmas. Try to put them into too big a setups. Try to start them going at Christmas, all excited, I've got a new ant colony. And then that colony gets into trouble because it didn't hibernate, or you've put it into a too big a setup. And it's just very unfortunate that Christmas comes at the wrong time of year for Lasius niger. It's bang smack in the middle of their inactive season. So I hope this has been useful for anyone who watches it, and I hope it gives you some ideas about what you should or should not buy and what you should be looking for at Christmas. Thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye everybody.